Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining me on my very first podcast. I'm Prahlad Shankar, the founder of InspireCare Foundation. In this series, I'll be talking to some truly awesome and inspiring people, listening to their stories, learning what inspires them, and sharing how they inspire all of us. And to kick things off, I'm starting with someone really special, the person who inspired me to start my very own nonprofit, Advaith Anna. Advaith is a senior at Tulane University from Dallas, Texas. She's double majoring in political economy and Asian studies on the pre-med track. Outside of college, Advaith runs a STEM program to improve STEM accessibility for youth in disenfranchised communities. Advaith is involved in many research projects at Tulane and was recently awarded the Goldwater Scholarship, one of the oldest and most prestigious national scholarships in natural sciences, engineering, and mathematics in the United States. Outside of school, Advaith likes to play frisbee, the guitar, produce music, and explore New Orleans with his friends. Welcome, Advaith. Thank you for coming to the Inspire Love Inspire Care Foundation podcast. How's your day been going?
Yeah, what's up, Prahlad? It's great to be here, and I'm really a big fan of Inspire Love Inspire Care, so I'm really excited to have this opportunity to talk to you, and today's going pretty well.
Yeah, so I've heard you've done a lot of community work. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, for sure. So something that's really important to me is that when I see that there's room for improvement in my community, it's really important for me to make grassroots changes in my community and, create programs or initiatives or just do work that I think can create sustainable change within my community. So instead of being performative about an issue or posting about it on social media or, just talking about it, all of which, it's important to spread awareness about it, but it's even more important, in my opinion, to actually do something to change that situation. So one of the organizations that my friends and I started in high school is this organization called Cracking the Wonder Code, which is an initiative to make STEM education for disadvantaged youth in disenfranchised and low-income communities. So we work with kids who are, refugees, children of domestic violence, or children who have been undergone domestic violence, orphans, students in very, very low-income neighborhoods who don't have access to STEM enrichment programs. And we run camps for them where we go over topics like biology, chemistry, we do robotics, we do coding with them. So a range of different STEM-related activities. And I'm currently a senior at Tulane University. So I live in New Orleans right now. And one of the other initiatives I work on is this organization called Culinary Medicine Initiative. And I help run it with a couple of my other friends. And we aim to make nutritional literacy and health literacy, by extension, more accessible in New Orleans. So we work with kids in our neighborhood and we teach them how to eat healthy foods, and we teach them about physiology and how when we eat a certain nutrient, right, like vitamin A, vitamin D, like when we eat all these vitamins, where it goes in our body. So we go over the different systems in our body, like the circulatory system, cardiovascular system, we go to the immune system, and we also actually get to practically make a meal with them. So we'll make burrito bowls or bread pizza or something with all homemade vegetables, locally sourced and locally grown veggies, and all this type of stuff, just to make sure that they're learning about proper nutrition and are actually able to do something to make their own nutritious meal. The last program I work for in New Orleans is I help, under the guidance of the Asian Studies Department at Tulane, I help run this Asian American mentorship program. We call it API for Asian American Pacific Islander. We run this mentorship program to help mobilize Tulane Asian identifying youth into the New Orleans community. And we work with different high school students in New Orleans who are Asian through many professional and academic obstacles. So we celebrate a range of cultural holidays with them. And then we also do a lot of work on, resume building, talking about test prep. And the overall mission of this organization is because I think that New Orleans doesn't have the strongest Asian representation, Southeast, and East Asian representation. So we're focused on helping improve representation here and improve a community where there's a lot of youth who are talking to one another who are all Asian. So, I think I've been able to involve myself in a few different types of initiatives.
I just have a follow-up question about cracking the Wonder Code. What made you start cracking the Wonder Code? This is such an amazing idea. How did you get the idea for this?
Yeah, for sure. So how we started cracking the Wonder Code was in high school. I was a part of the robotics team, and I loved being a part of robotics because, I would learn about coding in my classes or learn about technology in, one of my technology classes in freshman year of high school. But I realized that a lot of students in Dallas specifically, which is where my family's from, a lot of students in Dallas, just across the highway, didn't have access to that same level of STEM enrichment and computer labs and iPads and, ability to code that I did. And the more and more we talked to members in our community, we realized that there's a significant lack of STEM educational accessibility. So a lot of students, as a result, create a distaste for the subject. They didn't really find science or biology or technology fun, because for them, all that's been is just like, a class or just something they hear about, but they haven't actually been able to engage with it in a really constructive context. So that's what initially catalyzed our interest in starting Cracking the Wonder Code. But whenever we started Cracking the Wonder Code, it's kind of funny. We didn't start an initiative, we just wanted to do a camp. So we were just like running little camps. I did one in India. We were just doing little camps here and there just because we thought it was fun. So and then after a couple camps, we realized that we wanted to make this like a lasting organization, which is when we developed the name and developed a logo. And then, a little bit forward, we became a registered Texas nonprofit and developed a team. And, now it's still going today. So I've been doing this for the last 7 to 8 years now, and now I'm in New Orleans. So, it started off very, very humbly with just a small initiative. And now it's grown into this really incredible organization that I'm privileged to be a part of and help out with.
Yeah, speaking of robotics, I've just joined my school robotics team. I'm going to see if I like it and maybe continue in high school.
That's awesome. Robotics was probably one of my favorite things in high school because it was so much fun. And me and my teammates were all really, really close friends with each other too. And, during high school, Among Us is the big thing going on in my high school, because that's when I was in high school. So me and all my teammates, we got to make t-shirt names. So all of us were cyan or yellow, or I don't know, we were imposter. All of our names were one of those. And looking back, it's really, really cringy. But at that time, we thought we were really cool that all of our nicknames in robotics were Among Us themed. And I feel very proud of that we used to do that.
Among Us was a very fun game to play. But I have a question about STEM.
Yeah.
So what life skills does it teach the kids? How does it help the kids?
Sure. I think the 3 big life skills that I think that our program helps develop in kids. The first one is critical thinking. We collaborate with our students in order to come up with a solution to a problem. So, for example, the problem is that the robot needs to go from point X to point Y, or point A to point B, and you need to code it to get from here to here and pass all these obstacles, right? So we teach kids to critically think about how to defeat these obstacles or how to make something work, and about the different issues that might come up. So, if you just code the robot, just drive straight for, 10 feet, right? That's going to be a problem because there's obstacles in the way. So they need to do problem solving and critical thinking in order to figure out how to be efficient about this. Or for example, we're building catapults, right? They need to critically think about the best angle, or the best way to build a catapult so that the paper ball that we make flies the furthest. So by actually engaging with science and engaging with technology and doing science and technology, as opposed to just hearing about it in a teacher-student format, we teach kids to really think critically and take ownership and responsibility of the scientific method and over technology and coding. Another thing that I think we teach really well is collaboration. Like I said, we collaborate with our students a lot. So as opposed to us teaching them, we're working with them, which means that our students learn to work as a team in order to defeat an issue or in order to deal with an issue. So we teach them how to communicate with each other. Everybody gets assigned to different parts. If we're building dancing robots, one gets assigned to maybe code the robot, the other one decides the moves that the robot's going to make, the other one builds a robot. Everybody's working together in order to achieve a common purpose. So through that, students are taught to work together in a team and collaborate with one another. So I think we develop a really, really strong sense of collaboration. And the third thing they take away from us is they learn about how to engage with interests on their own and how they can develop interests on their own, because obviously our camp is only for 5 to 6 weeks, right? We teach kids about how we, at the end of camp, we always give them some resources, some online programs like, scratch.edu, or scratch at mit.edu, it's its own coding program. We teach them how they can develop their own interests without the level of mentorship. So I think by giving them a lot of skill sets and by exposing them to all these curriculums, we teach them how to develop their own interest in STEM so that they can go explore STEM on their own. So I think through that, they're able to develop a strong sense of self-sufficiency and able to advocate for their own self. So instead of needing constant mentorship from us, our belief and our goal is that if we give them the toolkits to explore STEM on their own after our camp is over, here's some places to learn more on your own. We do believe that, and we have had a lot of feedback that kids actually do end up doing a lot more coding or creating their own video games. So they're able to follow through with their own interests on their own without the need for other people to hold their hand once we develop a framework for them. So I think, we've developed really strong sense of self-sufficiency, teamwork, and collaboration. And I think all these different skill sets that we've taught them has been really, really helpful for their growth as people too.
I've never known that STEM could like develop so many like wonderful life skills. So like let's transition from the kids to the teachers. How do you keep like your teachers committed and not leaving?
Yeah, so I think there are two things I could touch on that. The first thing is that all of our teachers that we incorporate in Cracking the Wonder Code, our volunteers or exec team, I think all of them inherently want to create sustainable change in our community. It's one thing to say, wow, there's this problem, which is a lack of educational accessibility. And it's another thing to directly want to put yourself in that situation to help ameliorate that situation. So I think that inherently the mentors that we do rope into Cracking the Wonder Code tend to have a lot of fuel and a lot of interest in actually creating sustainable change in our community. So inherently they have a motivation that's a very intrinsic sort of motivation. They just want to help out. If they aren't getting feedback, or it's not because they want to put on their resume, it's not because we're giving them a grade or giving them money. They're doing it for free. They're volunteering their time because they inherently want to do something for the benefit of our overall community. The other thing is that I think that as a leader, something I've really learned to do is how to properly delegate, right? Because, when I first started Cracking the Wonder Code, I was still learning to become a leader. I was very young. So I was just like, maybe if I do everything, everybody can just weigh in on what they think is right, what they think is wrong. But the more and more I've developed Cracking the Wonder Code, the more I've learned the necessity of giving people positions, delegating those positions, and trusting them to take care of those things. So for example, one of our team members is the curriculum manager, right? He is responsible for the curriculum. And because he's responsible for the curriculum, anytime we have a camp, I'll tell him, hey, these are the things that we're thinking about making for this camp. Can you put a curriculum together? And he'll make the slides and the curriculum and the documents, all of that together. And I think that the reason why delegating and giving people responsibility is really important is because when you have responsibility, you inherently want to take on a little bit more, inherently want to follow through with it, right? Because if I just told them, hey, I'm going to do everything, just listen to what I'm doing and just approve it, they might not stay as engaged, right? It becomes less of a priority for them, and they don't have the capacity to engage themselves. But giving them things that they can do on their own, or giving them their own responsibilities, are able to engage with the organization a lot more personally and develop their own experience within it. So I think that by delegating responsibility really well, and also just like hiring the right people who inherently want to do something with Cracking the Wonder Code, we've been able to have very small turnover, and we're able to have people who have been cracking Wonder Code for a while now.
Yeah, so me personally, it's hard to keep the team committed, but like some of the ideas you've brought up are wonderful.
Awesome.
So
yeah.
when I started my own foundation, it was really hard to like get the launch going smoothly. Were there any challenges to getting it off the ground?
Yeah, so something we actually struggled with was we had a few really successful in-person Cracking the Wonder Code camps, but right after that, that's when COVID hit. So like we started like late 2018, 2019, and then right when Cracking the Wonder Code really started taking off, COVID hit. And so something we really struggled with is because we were kind of split on, do we just, wait the pandemic out and just wait for COVID to end? Because at that point, we didn't have any information. We didn't even know what COVID was, right? Like we had no clue what was going on. So one hand, we're like, do we just wait the pandemic out and just like stop Cracking One in its entirety? Or do we continue doing in-person camps? Or, do we just I don't know. We didn't really know what to do, because obviously doing in-person camps would have been a significant risk, considering we had no clue how contagious COVID was. Its mortality rates were pretty high. But at the same time, we saw COVID exacerbate a lot of the disparities within education that we were already trying to ameliorate. So just waiting it out or stopping Cracking the Wonder Code would have not been the best idea. So I think our team really struggled with getting it off the ground when COVID hit, but we actually were able to learn to turn that adversity in COVID into opportunity to develop Cracking Wonder Code in a new way. So, we digitalized our curriculum and found a bunch of online resources that could help teach STEM and teach coding and teach biology through an online platform. So actually by digitalizing our curriculum and creating a new revamped Zoom-based, web-based curriculum, we were able to move past Texas and actually do camps in Seattle, for example, or do camps in, Georgia. So, which was honestly great. So I think that something we struggled with in Cracking the Wonder Code was how to deal with COVID, but by turning the adversity that COVID gave us into opportunity to digitalize our curriculum, we were able to expand our organization to a national level and reach student cities all across the country, like Seattle and in Georgia. So
now let's move on to your second community service, culinary medicine.
Yeah.
So from what I understood, culinary medicine is all about teaching the kids healthy ways to eat, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So how do you research what meals to teach the kids about?
Yeah. So we work very close to the Goldwater Center for Culinary Medicine, which is a Tulane-led initiative. So we all work together, and one of the chefs over there is the one who's normally figuring out the specific meal we want to make with them. So that's how, the meal itself that's being made isn't decided by us. It's decided by the head nutritionist / chef over there. What we focus on is we do a bunch of research on, the different parts of our body and different systems in our body and how the nutrients we have impact our body. We do a lot of research on that. And then we also go through a lot of, editing and content reviews just to make sure that the way we communicate and articulate these concepts is really easy. Because if I just, show you a photo of a heart and say this is the left and right atriums, these are the ventricles, this is, the bundle of his, with a myocardium. If I just say all these words to you and just say, okay, and that's why cholesterol is bad for you, right? After explaining to you what a myocardial infarction is and plaque, like it's really hard for kids to digest. So, not only are we researching and going online, making sure that all of our data is correct and accurate, we also find ways and work as a team to make sure that the information that we do provide to young students in our community is very digestible and easy to understand and interpret.
So just one more question about culinary medicine.
Yeah.
Like how it works. Is it like you teach the kids what the meal is, how it helps, like what part of the body it helps, and like you make it, or do you like not make the food with the kids?
So we go through nutrients with them. So instead, we don't tell them, here's the meal we're going to make today, here's how it helps. What we do is we teach them about nutrients and, like I said, all the different body systems. And then after we talk about the body systems and nutrients in general, we introduce the meal to them and we cook a meal together. So for example, we'll make burrito bowls all with vegetables and protein and very healthy burrito bowl, with avocados and the salsa verde, salsa crema, everything. Once we do that, while all the kids are eating, we go through another presentation about exactly what food they're eating and how that food impacts their body. So it's like a 3-step process. The first one is just an overview of the body, overview of nutrition, overview of nutritional science, and why exercise is important, why you want to limit the amount of LDL you have, or cholesterol. And then we actually get to make the meal, and then we analyze the meal we had and talk about how the meal has nutrients that we talked about previously.
Yeah, I never knew there were like so many important things about food. Like me personally, I would just eat pizza all day if I could.
Yeah, and that's something that we're really trying to change, because obviously having pizza every once in a while and having a cheat meal, there's nothing wrong with that. I love pizza too. There's nothing wrong with that. We need to make sure that we're having fun time too, but it's really important for us that when whatever kids put into their mouth, right, we want to make sure that they know what they're eating and they know how it's impacting their body, because we very strongly believe that food is a source of preventative medicine. So when you get sick, right, we go to the doctor and the doctor's like, hey, take this med, take this med, take this med. We believe that by eating healthy and by knowing and being vigilant and intentional about what you choose to consume, it's preventative medicine, right? So you don't even need to go to the doctor in that case, right? You're just able to stay healthy. And obviously, we hear that an apple a day keeps the doctor away, that joke, but there is a lot of truth to that. By eating certain veggies and fruits every single day, or by having the right amount of protein, right amount of dairy, right amount of fruits and veggies and everything every single day, it actually does help you keep the doctor away, right? Except for your annual visits, it helps keeps any unexpected doctor visits and unexpected sickness away for the most part. So there is a lot of veracity in that statement, and that's what we're trying to help develop, that attitude we're trying to develop in our kids.
So like for me, whenever I take a class, like if I don't follow up on it, usually it just like goes like in one ear, out the other. How do you like prevent that from happening to the kids? Yeah,
so this is what I touched on a little bit earlier for you. It's one thing for us to do a teacher-student relationship where we just say, all right, guys, here are slides, learn, okay, have a great day, goodbye, right? It's one thing to do that, and it's another thing to make them practically engage with the concept, right? So in none of the initiatives that I work with, we don't just teach science, or we don't teach STEM, or we don't teach, we do, right? We're doing science, we're doing technology, we're doing coding, we're doing nutrition, we're doing food, we're doing cooking, we're doing everything. So by having kids, and this is the same thing, that I touched on about delegating responsibility, right? By giving people responsibility and giving people something to engage with, they're inherently going to stay more engaged with it, right? Like by giving them something to specifically work on, or saying, hey, like let's actually make a meal together, as opposed to just talking about healthy eating. Let's actually do the healthy. Instead of just saying eat healthy, let's do eat healthy, right? Let's actually eat healthy. Let's do it. Let's do that process, right? By doing that, we find that kids are a lot more engaged, because now they have their own little assignment or own little thing to do in order to get engaged with that in a more practical sense.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot. Like so many people talk about wanting the change, but like none of them actually do it.
Yeah.
But you're doing the change, which is amazing. And
Yeah.
speaking of food, like healthy food, what's your favorite healthy food?
My favorite healthy food's more of a snack. I love hummus. The reason why I love hummus is because like I love like cutting bell peppers, carrots, zucchini. Like I love just cutting vegetables vegetables and then just like dipping it in hummus and eating it. I think the Trader Joe's hummus is like one of the best hummuses, I guess, that I've ever eaten. So I would say my favorite food is hummus.
For me, it's like same here, snack, like a cucumber.
Cucumbers?
You put, like, masala on it.
Oh, yeah.
Really good.
Adding masala to like any vegetables makes it a million times better. So yeah.
Yeah.
Or in fruits too, in India, we eat like, or it's kind of adjacent, we like put like the chili powder, right, and salt and lime onto like mangoes and corn before we eat it, and like by the beach and stuff, and it tastes so good.
So next, like, let's move on to the Asian mentorship program.
Yeah.
So how do you like help like with the mentorship? Like, how does it work?
Yeah, so like I said, we basically have a group of Asian American Tulane students who go into local high schools. Like, for example, we're working with Ben Franklin High School, which is in like the north part of New Orleans. We go to these schools and talk to the kids and just hang out with them. And, it serves a few purposes. Number one is just to develop a strong interpersonal relationship with them. And then also, we want to make sure that they have the capacity to ask professional questions. Like, how do you apply to college? How do you take the ACT? Realistically, how do we talk about our identities in our college applications, right? Because, our identities are a really, really big part of our development, our educational journey. So how do we talk about that in a very constructive way, right? We want to give them the opportunity to, have older brothers or older sisters who are also Asian, who have gone through the system, who they can ask questions to. And the other thing is that we want to normalize being able to celebrate our cultural holidays in, a predominantly white environment or in a Western environment, right? So, for example, Deepavali or Diwali is a very important holiday in my household, right? And historically, for me, that's been I wake up super early, celebrate it at home, leave my house, go to school, pretend like nothing, it's not an important day at all. Like, do nothing at school, come back home and, maybe go visit some family friends. So that's how in the past I've been able to celebrate it. And I realize that that makes the day very, very not special if, I'm not able to talk to my peers about it. So we want to give these students the opportunity to celebrate Diwali or, Chinese New Year or, any of these other East Asian and South Asian holidays. We want to give them the opportunity to come to school, celebrate it with their peers and celebrate it with, older mentors in the city, just so that their culture and their identity isn't limited to their house or limited to the four walls of their home. They're able to, bring their identity to school with them and engage with it in a place that's not just their home or their immediate family.
Yeah, like I have the same thing too. Like I wouldn't show up to school with a veshti and a full vibhti on.
Yeah.
So is it like a counselor program? Like they ask you questions, you answer the questions, and you help them like express their traditions?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's not just like they ask questions, we answer. Sometimes we do interactive activities. So we work on, for example, we'll do a resume workshop. So we'll say, so first thing you want to do is your education, then work experience, then clinical, whatever field it is. Like, we'll do it interactive with them so they can ask questions. So it's not just question answers. It's not like that. We also have a lot of interactive things. Like I said, one of a very, very important value that I've developed through all of my initiatives is it's one thing to talk and teach, and it's another thing to engage with and collaborate. I don't think of myself as a teacher or a talker or a lecturer. I think I'm a collaborator. Right? We collaborate with every one of the students we work with to do an activity together. I think that it's really, really important to not teach or talk at or talk to. Instead, we want to make sure that we collaborate with them to do things together. So they do ask questions, we do answer, but we also do things a lot together too.
So is this like geared to like juniors and seniors? Or is it geared to like middle schoolers also?
We work with high school, so it's 9 through 12 historically. Juniors, seniors have a little bit more engagement with it only because, we're talking about resumes and applying to college and ACT, SAT, but we also do work with freshmen and sophomores just to do cultural activities and, talk to them about possible career paths they want to take and which AP classes, for example, to take in order to pursue their career. So if you're interested in pre-med, maybe, we tell them maybe take calculus your sophomore year, take AP Chem your junior year, maybe take AP Physics, take some of those hard STEM heavy prerequisites so that when you come to college, you're more successful in your pre-medical education.
So just like as like a non-community work side note, I heard you like play and produce music. What's your favorite song?
Yes, that's a great question. I have two, like in terms of like American or Western music, my favorite song is All the Stars by Kendrick Lamar. I know it's a pretty famous song, but All the Stars by Kendrick Lamar is one of my favorites. And my other really, really favorite song is Die Hard by Kendrick Lamar. I'm a big Kendrick Lamar fan. And then I also like Prom by SZA and The Lakes by Taylor Swift. Those are like my top 4 most listened to songs. The 5th song that I really like is Kun Faya Kun by A.R. Rahman. I love Bollywood. I love like Tamil music. I love Hindi Hindi music. I love Indian music in general. So I think that Kun Faya Kun and then Taylor Swift, SZA, Kendrick Lamar are all some of my really, really big top artists.
I love all those artists too. You probably
Yeah.
really enjoyed the Grand National Tour.
Yes, yeah, I went to the Kendrick Lamar concert. I went to Grand National Tour. I saw Kendrick and SZA, and I sang every song like at the top of my lungs. It was so much fun. I went with all my college friends. It was a great time.
Thank you so much for coming and doing this interview. It's
Yeah.
wonderful having you.
Yeah, of course. I think this is a great thing, and I do hope that you do a lot more podcasts like this, and you're doing great, man. So I'm really proud of you, and keep it up.
Thank you so much.